It's lights out, we're racing in Brno in MotoGP. It's a superb launch away once again by Fabio Di Giannantonio and Pecco Bagnaia. Aguirre this time around has nailed the start. He's got the drop on the field on this long run down into the first corner. Morera there in P5, having started in P5. Marquez straight away through on Bagnaia up into third place.
Yeah, and Raul Fernandez is still behind Morera in 6th. Martin, I think, is up 1. He's in 8th place, just behind Pedro Acosta. Marquez straight on the attack too on Fabio Di Giannantonio, 4th to 3rd and now to 2nd.
Oh, ultra aggressive as Digia. Well, twice he almost lost the rear there as he squeezed the power back on going through 3 and 4. He's lost another place. He's lost 4th to Diogo Morera. Marquez knows you can't give clear track to Aguirre. You cannot let him get away.
And Acosta also piling on the agony for Fabio Di Giannantonio as he takes away 5th place. So Digia now down from staring at 2nd. He's now 6th.
Well, Digia's getting right duffed up, isn't he? Oh, Bagnaia, that's lovely. It's aggressive. It was hard, but it was crucially clean. So the two factory Ducatis getting very, very busy, very aggressive on this opening lap. They don't want to let Aguirre get into his rhythm.
Oh, he's having a look at the inside there. That's Bagnaia. Now we're looking back from Aguirre. It's the same story at the moment. It was in the sprint yesterday. It's Aguirre versus factory Ducati.
Yeah, and here comes Bagnaia. Is he going to strike on the run down into the Schwantz corner, turn 10 for the first time? He can almost reach out and grab the rear aero on Aguirre's Aprilia. Was that Raul Fernandez running wide on the brakes into turn 10? He drops back across the nose of Fermin Aldeguer.
A big mover on this first lap is Joan Mir, who's in 7th place. So we'll see on our timing screen shortly, but the information that was sent to us from Michelin is that Mir is on the soft rear tyre, which might explain why he's made some early progress.
So Aguirre then leading in MotoGP for the very first time. Martin, this is a good early charge through from the factory Aprilia. He's picked off me then going into turn 13. So for the first time in his Grand Prix career, Aguirre leads over the line in MotoGP under big pressure though, isn't he, from Pecco Bagnaia, the sprint winner yesterday, trying to squeeze on the inside line. There goes the Italian, but there's no way through.
Yeah, Marc Marquez's front end was also making all sorts of shapes as he tried to get it stopped to turn 1. He's in 3rd place. Confirmation Mir is on the soft rear tyre in 8th place.
It just looked like Aguirre just was a little bit scrappy going through turn 2. He was, and that's allowing Bagnaia to try and level him on the brakes into 3. Hardest braking zone here in Brno. Cutting now to the inside line, going through 4 is Bagnaia, but on the cutback, Aguirre will just sweep back on through. Intense early battle here. Is Bagnaia going to lose another place though now to 93? Acosta's got through Morera 2 in 4th place. It's still Aguirre then that's at the front of this Grand Prix. He has been under immense early pressure from the 2 factory Ducatis. 9 MotoGP world titles between them behind him. As Bagnaia once again will try and attack down the hill into the Schwantz corner. That was a move that the Texan legend would love himself. Bagnaia's going to cut it to the curve. He's going to make the apex. Pecco Bagnaia leads.
Fabio Quartararo down on the 2nd lap. Another miserable weekend for Yamaha. Looks like it's come to an end for the 2021 world champion. This is Jorge Martin. We were briefly watching him defending from Fermin Aldeguer, and of course while he's detached from this group and the 2 long lap penalties still to come, he's in some trouble.
Acosta had no drive coming out of turn 11. Oh, here comes Marc Marquez. He's got the inside line. Nothing that Aguirre can do about that. Acosta has held on to 4th place ahead of Morera, despite him not being razor sharp on the throttle coming out of 11. So a factory Ducati 1-2. Bagnaia with clear tarmac ahead of him at the first ride into the 53s, a 153.886.
Back with Martin then. The issue he's got at the moment is that he's bottled up in the group being led by the 2 Hondas of Morera and Mir. I think his right leg came out there just indicating to Aldeguer, I'm going to peel off and go to the long lap penalty loop. Important that he doesn't go on the green on the outside of this long lap penalty loop. Knee down, and he does go onto the green. It's Jorge Martin now going to have to serve that all over again.
Well, he's made a right ricket of that, hasn't he? A right hash of that. And his desperation to minimise the damage of those 2 long laps, he was massively on the green. That was a smart move, wasn't it, initially, to just dangle his left leg out to Fermin Aldeguer, letting Aldeguer know that he was going to be coming into the long lap. But having done so, well, pretty sure he's still got 2 long laps to serve.
Yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on our timing screens because they'll tell us whether he's incorrectly served it. Maybe they'll wait until he's come through twice before they tell him. We definitely know Martin is going to have to come through at least once more, potentially twice more. He lost those places to Aldeguer and Fernandez, so he's in 10th place now, and we'll wait to find out whether he's got 1 or 2 long laps left.
So there is this battle between Morera and Aldeguer. Well, it has come up on our screens. This is the current information that Martin has served half of his 2 long laps. We'll keep a close eye on that, but at the moment the information is that, yeah, he's completed 1 of 2.
Yeah, the other teams certainly weren't too pleased with that when they saw Martin serving those long laps, the practice long laps, in that manner. But we're having confirmation that he is okay. So there's clearly a bit of a grey area there in terms of whether you're allowed to serve a long lap in that manner or whether you're not. Martin clearly would have been in no doubt before he came through that long lap loop what he was allowed to do and what he wasn't allowed to do, as Aldeguer now comes through on Diogo Moreira. So that's Fermin Aldeguer taking 7th place from Moreira, who's starting to gently fall back after that lightning start he made.
So this, if it's all legal and above board, will Jorge Martin taking his medicine. I tell you what, it looked like he almost was stuck in the front there. I mean, will that be deemed a safe rejoin?
Well, that's what they're worried about, and I guess that's why Martin and Aprilia are saying it's better for us to go out onto the green, because if we're on the curb, we're straight in the face of another rider on the racing line. That was Maverick Vinales going onto the green there. So Jorge Martin has now been through the long lap penalty loop twice, and if we trust that he's done so in accordance with the regulations, and Aprilia and Martin will have definitely checked before the race got underway, confirmation 2 of 2 complete has come from our timing screens. Martin is now free to race from 13th place.
These two will know, as they keep seeing on their pit board, the gap between them and 79 Ayagura. They will know that there's maybe an attack coming late on. The onus here on Agura to try and snatch away some important championship points for Aprilia. On board then with Mark. Through 12 we go. And now you're going to start this rapid ascent up Horsepower Hill. Over the blind crest now on the brakes into turn 13. You can just see there a bit of a rear tyre lifting in the air for Bagnaia. That's how hard he's having to push to keep himself at the front of this battle in Brno. Acosta once again defending like an absolute titan. How wide does he make that KTM? Awesome job once again, isn't it, by the Spanish rider? When you look where some of the other KTMs are, I mean, the next best RC16 is down in 13th place. Did you then find a way through on Acosta? Finally.
There was a big long look there from Pedro Acosta. He was looking over to his left and he went wide. I do wonder whether Pedro Acosta might be into some front tyre issues in terms of his pressure, and he needs to sit behind someone and cool and potentially get some heat onto his front tyre rather than cool it down. There was a clear, noticeable look to his left there from Acosta when he went wide at 7.
And again, there's nothing that Marquez can do. Can't get close enough to jam it on the inside of Bagnaia into turn 13. So shortly we'll be on lap 16 of 21. It's going to, well, it looks like we're poised for some late fireworks here in the Grand Prix of Czechia. 53 fives from your top 3. Gian Antonio, once he was able to clear Acosta, well, he's got pace that's quicker than your top 3 ahead of him. Mia's now got through on Pedro Acosta as well, who is dropping like a stone.
He's that desperate, I think, to have someone else in front of him, because Gian Antonio gapped him very quickly. So if he was trying to have someone ahead of him to put some hot air on his front tyre, it failed, and he's now dropped 3 seconds on that last lap, and he's now slotted in behind Mia.
Here goes Marc Marquez. That is his move. He has finally decided then it's time to break Bagnaia. He has made the attack. Marc Marquez, that it is, that leads for the first time here in Brno. He's on course for back-to-back wins here in the Czech Republic. He made the move then going through turn 3 and 4. 93 leads 63. Big interest in third place still for Ayagura from pole position, but Marc Marquez now in control here in Brno. As Ayagura is coming from a long way back, there's an air of desperation here. He knows he has to make the move. He just runs Bagnaia out wide. There's nothing that Bagnaia can do. So now then, Ayagura then, we're going to check the gap between him and Marc Marquez with, 4.5 laps to go. The gap is 9/10 of a second. Plenty of time if Agura feels like he's got the pace. He feels like, crucially, he's got the rear tyre underneath him to hunt down the 93.
Look at how aggressive Agura is being on the way into turn 13, visibly just pulling metres away from Pecco Bagnaia. It's from a long way back, but Bagnaia just had nothing to defend with. He was completely powerless to keep Ayagura behind him, and Agura, even with that overtake on the last lap, still set a faster lap time than the leader, Marc Marquez, by a tenth. It's 8 tenths between them with 4 to go.
Another tenth has gone the way of Agura as Mir tries to defend as hard as he can on the brakes in the turn 5 from Acosta. Well, that's mission's failed for the factory Honda rider. We're keeping a very, very close eye on the top left-hand corner of the screens because Marc Marquez, well, he's a 100-time Grand Prix winner, a 7 times MotoGP world champion, but he's going to be calling on all of his skills, all of his reserves of talent to try and hold off Ayagura. 6/10 it remains halfway around this lap 19.
Yeah, Marc Marquez is squeezing everything he can out of this. Agura's personal best was only a half a tenth quicker than the reigning world champion. Agura is finding out firsthand here just how hard Marc Marquez is to beat.
Here is Martin then. He's going to go through on Moreira. So Martin's day is going to get better. He is going to rescue. He is going to salvage a top 10, it looks like, despite those 2 long lap penalties. I think he'd have probably settled for a top 10, given the circumstances that he was facing coming into this 21 lap Grand Prix. Over the line we go then. 5.4 kilometres standing between Marc Marquez and another brilliant Brno performance. When has Marc Marquez ever given up an 0.8 of a second lead going into a final lap? Fair play to Ayagura. He has fought a great fight, but just like in yesterday's sprint, is he going to be toppled by a factory Ducati? Yesterday it was Bagnaia that denied him a gold medal. Today it looks like it is going to be the reigning world champions going to go back-to-back in Brno as Pedro...
Is that more KTM problems? It would appear so. On the last lap, Pedro Acosta retires from 5th place.
Well, that is a bitter, bitter pill for Acosta to swallow. Tough times for Pedro Acosta, who's going to leave Brno pointless. A chance for him to really stick his nose in that championship fight with no Marco Bezzecchi point scoring finishes this weekend.
The gap has been cut in half.
It has been cut in half. You know what, Ayagura mightn't have needed this to be a 22-lap race. He closes in. Look at this from Bagnaia. The Gian Antonio, well, there could be 2 late plot twists here in Brno. Is Agura going to get Marc Marquez for the win? Is Digia going to get Bagnaia for the final place on the podium?
Happened to Bagnaia at Mugello last year, didn't it? When he lost the 3rd place in the final metres to his fellow Italian. You can see the nerves from Julio Marquez, who I think wants to watch his son. His son is 3 corners away from back-to-back MotoGP wins.
This one's over. This one is over. Ayagura has tried to go toe-to-toe with Marc Marquez, which is arguably just about the toughest task in Grand Prix racing history. But once again, we are looking at the 93 magician. Just look how hard he is pushing. Through that final corner he goes. It's back-to-back wins in 2026 for Marc Marquez. It's back-to-back wins in Brno for the reigning world champion. He has done it here. Fabio Di Gianantonio sets the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, but can't take the podium and steal the 3rd place away from Bagnaia. Ayagura then from pole position does take 2 second places. By far his best weekend of his MotoGP career. But Marc Marquez, how does he keep on doing it? Once again, he defies the odds here in Brno. He takes the win by just under half a second. Agura Bagnaia is your podium. Gian Antonio 4th. Mir takes a superb 5th place. Top job that by the factory Honda rider. 6th for Aldeguer. Points for Fernandez, Marini, Martin in 9th. Good recovery from his 2 long laps. Bastianini took Moreira on the last lap for 10th. Binder Morbidelli, Razgatlioglu and Vinales on his 200 start are in the point scoring places.
He is spent.
Has he ever had to work that hard for 25 points in his Grand Prix career?
Victory for Marc Marquez as he beat Ayagura by just 4/10 of a second. Francesco Bagnaia completed the podium with P3, with Fabio Di Antonio 4th, Joan Mir a season's best P5 in a Grand Prix. Fermin Aldeguer completed the top 6.